What we're going to do in this video is learn how to solve linear equations with fractions. Now, the best way to deal with fractions is to get rid of them. So what you want to do is you want to multiply both sides of the equation by the lowest common denominator. So if we look at all the denominators, what is the smallest number that 3, 2, and 6 divide into? In that case, it would be 6. So we're going to multiply both sides by 6. So let's see this side. And we'll get 2 over 3x plus 1/2 x minus 5 over 6 minus 1/3. Now the question I usually get at this point is, how did you come up with the number 6? One way, and kind of a quick little cheat, is to just count by all the denominators. So the three denominators that I have is 3, 2, and 6. And if I just count by threes, 3, 6, 9, 12, 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, and 6, 12, 18, 24, we try to find what is the smallest number that each one of these numbers divide into. In this case, it's 6. So that's a quick cheat. Now, once we multiply both sides by the same number, what we'll do is we'll distribute the 6. Okay, so we'll multiply that, this with all three terms. Okay. Now, what'll happen is we'll get 6 times 2/3 x plus 6 times 1/2 is equal to 6 times x minus 6 times 5 over 6 minus 6 times 1/3. So we can see that what actually happened is that we're multiplying every term by the lowest common denominator. Now, what a term is something that's separated by a plus or minus. So when we look at our original problem, we can see that these are terms. This is a term, that's a term, those are terms. Those are our terms, okay? Terms are separated by a plus or a minus. And we can see that after we distribute, each one of these terms is being multiplied by the lowest common denominator or the lowest common multiple, however you want to think of it. Now, the next thing we want to do is we want to divide the lowest common denominator by the denominator. So 6 divided by 3 is 2. 6 divided by 2 is 3. This one doesn't have a denominator, so we leave it. 6 divided by 6 is 1, and 6 divided by 3 is 2. Now we just multiply. 2 times 2 times x is 4x, plus 3 times 1 is 3. 6x just comes down. 1 times 5 is 5, and 2 times 1 is minus 2. The next thing we're going to do is we're going to combine like terms. So we want to make sure that when we combine like terms that we think of there being a barrier between the equal. We cannot combine like terms across an equal sign. So we just combine like terms for those two and combine like terms over here. Now for the 4x plus 3, there's nothing to combine. These are not like terms. Over here, we can subtract the minus 5 and the minus 2. Oops, this should turn into minus 7. And now what we want to do is we want to isolate the x. So what I'll do is I will subtract 4x from both sides, which means I have to add 7 to both sides. I get 10 is equal to 2x, and then we divide both sides by 2, and we get x is equal to 5. And if you're anal, we can bring the x to the left side. So let's do this again. Okay. Now I'm going to skip the step. So this step right here, where you multiply both sides by 6, and I'm going to go directly from here to here. I'm going to multiply each one of the terms by the lowest common denominator. It just helps me not to write this line to save space. So let's do this. Let's multiply each term by the lowest common denominator. So let's look at all of our denominators. If I skip count 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 4, 8, 12, 16, 8, 16, 24. We look for what is the smallest number that 2, 4, and 8 divide into. And if it's not obvious to, you can just sort of look at your list and see what shows up 3 times first. Now, we're going to multiply each term by 8. Now, let's remember that our terms are separated by a plus or minus. So each one of these will get an 8. Okay, so I'll get 8 times 1/2 x plus 2 plus 8 times 1/4 is equal to 8 times 5/8x. And then what we want to do is we want to divide the lowest common denominator, the 8, by the denominator of each term. So 8 divided by 2 will be 4. 8 divided by 4 will be 2. And 8 divided by 8 will be 1. And then we'll get 4 times 1, which will be 4 times x plus 2 plus 2 times 1 is 2 equal to 5x. And then let's distribute. 4x plus 8 plus 2 is equal to 5x. Okay. Next, what I want to do is I want to combine like terms. So on this side, the 8 and 2 can be combined. So we'll get 4x plus 10 is equal to 5x. And then I want to isolate the x. So in this case, I'm going to subtract 4 from both sides. And I get 10 is equal to x. And then for some teachers, it's really important for them to have the x on the left side. I really could care less. Okay, let's do one more example. Okay, so let's try it again. Let's multiply each term by the LCD. So in this case, my LCD will be 8 one more time. So we'll go 8 times. Now, even though there's not a parentheses there, there's a parentheses there. 2x minus 1 divided by 2 minus 8 times 1/4 is equal to 8 times x minus 8 times 3/8x. And then we're going to divide the LCD, which is 8, by the denominator. So we'll get 8 divided by 2 is 4. 8 divided by 4 is 2. And then 8 divided by 8 is 1. So let's distribute, right? The 4 times the 2x minus 1, we'll get 8x minus 4, right? We're just distributing the 4 with the 2x minus 1. Minus 2 times 1 is 2 is equal to 8x. And then 1 times 3 is going to be 3x. So now let's combine like terms. Let's remember when we combine like terms, there's a little wall there. You're going to combine this and you're going to combine that separately. So we'll get 8x minus 6 is equal to 5x. Now let's isolate the variable. So I will subtract 8x from both sides. And we'll get minus 6 is equal to minus 3x. Let's get rid of the minus 3 by dividing. And then we'll get x is equal to 2. And again, let's put x on the left side. Well, if this video was helpful, please like and subscribe so other people can find this video. Thank you.